How to Speak Confidently and Persuade Others by Robert Smith. Published by Audiobooks Hub. Introduction. Most people secretly wish they could walk into a room, open their mouth, and hold everyone's attention. They picture themselves delivering an idea, a proposal, or even a casual opinion, and seeing faces light up with interest. Yet for most of us, the opposite happens. We stammer. Our palms sweat. We speak too fast or too quietly. Afterward, on the way home, we replay the conversation and think of all the things we should have said. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Speaking with confidence and persuading others is not some rare talent reserved for politicians, salespeople, or natural extroverts. It is a learned skill, a set of techniques that anyone can practice and master. You don't have to change your personality. You don't have to fake charm or memorize scripts. What you do need is an understanding of how people listen, how influence works, and how to use your voice and presence to guide an audience from doubt to agreement. When I first began speaking in public, I was a disaster. My voice trembled, my knees shook, and my mind went blank at the worst moments. I watched others deliver their ideas effortlessly and wondered what magic they possessed. Over time, through painful mistakes, relentless practice, and studying the psychology of influence, I discovered something surprising. Confidence and persuasion are not mysterious gifts. They are skills that grow with methodical practice, much like learning a sport or a musical instrument. This book distills what I've learned into a clear path. It's not a collection of quick tips to make you sound confident. Instead, it's a roadmap that helps you actually become confident, so that your presence, voice, and arguments naturally persuade without feeling forced. You're going to learn 10 specific techniques. Each one is like a building block. By the time you reach the conclusion, you'll be able to combine them into a style of speaking that feels authentic to you. You'll no longer dread presentations, interviews, or important conversations. Instead, you'll welcome them as opportunities to connect, inspire, and guide. But first, a truth that may surprise you. Persuasion begins long before you open your mouth. It begins with how you see yourself, how you frame your message, and how you enter a room. People respond not just to words but to signals: confidence, calm, credibility. This book will show you how to send those signals deliberately and consistently. In the chapters ahead, you will learn how to project calm authority even when you're nervous. Structure your ideas so they're easy to follow and hard to resist. Use your voice, body language, and timing to amplify your message. Anticipate resistance and transform objections into agreement. Build rapport quickly so people feel safe saying yes. Each technique includes common mistakes, real-life examples, and ways to practice. You'll see how small shifts, pausing at the right moment, framing an argument differently, speaking to the listener's emotions rather than just their logic, can transform the impact of your words. By the end of this journey, you'll discover something deeper than tips or tricks. You'll discover your own persuasive voice, a voice that is confident, authentic, and impossible to ignore. So take a breath. Imagine the next time you need to speak up, in a meeting, at a family gathering, in front of a crowd. Imagine feeling calm, in control, and persuasive. That's not a fantasy. It's a skill you're about to build. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Presence. Owning the room before you speak. Confidence is not what you say. It's what people sense before you even open your mouth. This is why some speakers command attention the moment they walk in, while others struggle to be heard even when they're already talking. Your first step in learning to speak confidently and persuade is mastering presence, the invisible signal that tells an audience, "I belong here, and what I'm about to say matters." Presence begins with your body, but it's not just posture. It's the combination of your stance, breathing, facial expression, and micro-movements. People pick up these signals instantly and unconsciously. We evolved to assess leaders and threats at a glance, so audiences are doing it to you whether they realize it or not. That's why the first technique in this book is not about words at all. It's about preparing your body and mind to project calm authority. Think about a time you saw someone truly comfortable on stage or at a meeting. They weren't stiff or robotic. They moved naturally but with purpose. They stood or sat in a way that made them seem grounded, not defensive or hesitant. Their face looked relaxed, not tense or blank. Before they spoke, you already felt they were worth listening to. That's the effect we're after. Here's how to start cultivating it. Anchor yourself physically. Most people begin speaking from a state of tension. They're leaning forward, shuffling papers, or shifting their weight nervously. These movements send a message: I'm uncertain. Before you say a word, pause. Plant your feet shoulder-width apart if standing. Let your weight settle evenly. Drop your shoulders. Take one slow breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. This simple anchoring move calms your nervous system and instantly changes the impression you make. If you're seated, the principle is the same. Sit tall with your back supported, both feet on the ground. Rest your hands lightly rather than gripping or fidgeting. This small ritual gives you an aura of self-possession and buys you a few seconds to organize your thoughts. Breathe for calm, not just oxygen. When we're nervous, we breathe shallowly. This starves the brain of oxygen and accelerates anxiety, which makes our voice shaky. Before speaking, practice box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold again for 4. 2 cycles of this will lower your heart rate and steady your voice. People around you won't see the exercise, but they will feel its effect in the steadiness of your tone. Make eye contact before words. Most speakers look down at notes or their slides as they begin. This breaks the connection before it starts. Instead, look at your audience first. Sweep the room slowly, making brief eye contact with 2 or 3 people. This doesn't just make you look confident, it helps you feel it. Human beings mirror each other's state. When you see attentive faces, your nervous system interprets it as acceptance and relaxes. Claim your space. Persuasion has a spatial component. Someone who seems compressed or hidden in their environment looks less authoritative. Practice claiming your space. Stand or sit so you're visible to everyone. If possible, move to a position where nothing obstructs you. Even the way you arrange objects can help. Moving a glass of water or a chair slightly so you have room to gesture sends a subtle but powerful message. You're in control of the environment, not at its mercy. Common mistakes to avoid. Overcompensation. Some people here project confidence and respond with exaggerated gestures, loud voices, or forced smiles. This backfires, making you seem nervous or inauthentic. Aim for calm energy, not theatrics. Shrinking. Others try to disappear. Arms crossed, head down, voice low. This makes your words easy to ignore no matter how good they are. Fidgeting. Playing with a pen, clicking a slide remote, or swaying sends unconscious signals of uncertainty. Anchor yourself instead. Practice in low-risk settings. You don't need a stage to practice presence. Start in everyday interactions. When you enter a cafe, pause before ordering. Plant your feet, breathe, and make eye contact with the barista. When speaking to a friend, notice if you're fidgeting and practice stillness. These small rehearsals build muscle memory so that when the stakes are higher, your body automatically projects calm. Combine physical and mental anchors. Presence isn't just posture and breathing, it's also mental. Before speaking, remind yourself of one reason you're qualified to be there. A fact, experience, or perspective you bring. Silently think, I have something of value to share. This inner statement subtly shifts your facial expression and tone. Audiences pick up on that self-assurance even if they don't know why. The persuasive effect of presence. Why does all this matter for persuasion? Because people decide whether to trust and follow you within seconds. If your body language says, I'm nervous, or I'm not sure, listeners will unconsciously resist your message before you even start. When your body language says, I'm calm and credible, they become more open. Words then land on fertile ground instead of rocky soil. Research in social psychology confirms this. In one study, students rated speakers who displayed open, grounded posture as more persuasive, even when the content of their speeches was identical to those delivered by nervous-looking speakers. Presence literally changes how people weigh your words. A simple pre-speaking ritual. Here's a practical routine you can use before any speech, meeting, or difficult conversation. Pause at the threshold. Before entering the room, plant your feet and take one slow breath. Visualize success. Briefly picture the interaction going well. Anchor your body. Once inside, stand or sit tall with relaxed shoulders. Scan the room. Make brief, calm eye contact with 2 or 3 people. Begin only when ready. Don't rush to speak. Let silence work for you for a second, then start. This entire process takes less than 30 seconds but transforms how others perceive you and how you feel inside. What you'll notice. At first, this will feel deliberate. You might catch yourself thinking, plant my feet, breathe, make eye contact. That's normal. With repetition, it becomes automatic. One day you'll realize you walked into a meeting, stood tall, looked people in the eye, and spoke without trembling, and you didn't even think about it. Presence is the foundation of all the other techniques in this book. Without it, even the most persuasive words fall flat. With it, even simple messages gain weight. You can think of presence as the stage on which your future persuasive skills will play out. Build it now, and every other technique you learn will be twice as effective. Take a moment after reading this chapter to practice. Stand up wherever you are. Plant your feet. Breathe slowly. Look straight ahead as if addressing an audience. Feel your body settle. Say out loud one sentence you believe deeply. Notice the difference in how it feels compared to slouching or fidgeting. That sensation, calm, steady, grounded, is the starting point of confident speaking and authentic persuasion. Chapter 2: Crafting a Message People Can't Ignore. Once you've learned to project presence, the next step is shaping what you're going to say. Presence gets people to listen. Structure keeps them listening. The best speakers and persuaders don't just throw words into the air. They craft messages that flow, make sense, and stick in the listener's mind long after the conversation ends. Many people who struggle with confidence blame their nerves, but often the real problem is clarity. If you're unsure what you're trying to say, you'll sound hesitant. If you're clear on your point and its path, confidence naturally rises. That's why this second technique is about structuring your message so it feels inevitable and persuasive. Begin with the end in mind. Before you start speaking, ask yourself, what do I want my listener to think, feel, or do at the end? That's your destination. Everything you say should be a bridge leading there. Too many people begin talking without a clear destination and end up wandering. Audiences sense the drift and stop paying attention. This doesn't mean scripting every word. It means knowing your key point, the North Star of your message. Write it down if you need to. For example, I want my boss to approve this project. I want the audience to feel hopeful about our plan. I want my friend to understand why I made this decision. Once you know your destination, you can shape a path that leads there naturally. Use a simple 3-part structure. Human brains love patterns, and 3 is a magical number for memory. Almost every famous speech, ad, or story uses some variation of a 3-part structure. A simple but powerful version is: problem or context, what's happening now? Why does it matter? Solution or proposal, what do you suggest? What's the core idea? Benefit or call to action, how does it help them? What should they do next? This works for everything from a 2-minute elevator pitch to a 20-minute presentation. It gives your message a sense of inevitability, like stepping stones across a stream. The listener feels guided rather than pushed. Lead with a hook. Attention is the most precious commodity in any conversation. You have only seconds to earn it. A hook can be a surprising fact, a vivid image, a question, or a short story. For example, instead of saying, "We need to improve customer service," you might start with, "Last week, one of our customers waited 27 minutes on hold and then hung up." Instantly, your audience sees the problem. Hooks don't have to be dramatic. They just have to be specific and relatable. Speak to emotions as well as logic. People often decide based on feelings and then justify with facts. If your message is purely logical, it may be correct but not compelling. If it's purely emotional, it may stir but not convince. The most persuasive messages combine both. Frame your facts in a way that connects to what matters to your listener: security, pride, belonging, progress, relief. Instead of, "This plan will reduce costs by 10%, try, "This plan frees up resources so we can invest in the things our customers actually love." Make your listener the hero. The biggest mistake in persuasion is making it all about you, your goals, your ideas, your brilliance. People are most persuaded when they see how something benefits them or aligns with their values. Shift the focus from "here's what I want" to "here's what you gain." Even subtle changes in wording matter. "I need your approval" becomes "this will make your department look like a leader." "I want you to join" becomes "you'd be a crucial part of making this succeed." Use plain, vivid language. Confidence doesn't come from fancy words. It comes from clear ones. Replace jargon with concrete terms. Instead of "synergize our cross-functional assets," say "work together across teams." Instead of "optimize stakeholder engagement," say "make sure the people who matter are on board." Vivid language paints pictures. Vague language makes eyes glaze over. The power of repetition and framing. Repetition isn't boring when done well. It's memorable. Most audiences need to hear a key idea 3 times in different ways to retain it. State your main point, illustrate it with an example, and then summarize it again. Also pay attention to framing, the angle from which you present an idea. "We're cutting costs" sounds harsh. "We're freeing up funds to invest" sounds positive. Same action, different frame, different reaction. Common mistakes to avoid. Overloading your message. Trying to cram 5 points into one talk dilutes all of them. Choose one main point and a couple of supporting ideas. Burying the lead. Don't make your listener wait 10 minutes to know why they should care. Start with relevance. Ignoring the listener's perspective. If you haven't thought about what matters to them, even perfect delivery won't persuade. Practice with small conversations. You don't need a stage to test your message. Try structuring a casual explanation to a friend or colleague. Instead of rambling, think, "What's the problem? What's my solution? What's the benefit?" You'll notice your listener leaning in because your words feel clearer. A simple message-building routine. Before any important talk or meeting, take 5 minutes to do this. Write down your destination, what you want them to think, feel, or do. Sketch your 3-part structure: problem, solution, benefit. Craft a hook, a fact, question, or story to start. Identify one emotional angle, why it matters to them. Rehearse aloud once, focusing on clarity and flow. This short preparation reduces nerves because you're no longer guessing what to say. You're following a path you built. Why this technique boosts confidence? When you know your message is solid and structured, you automatically sound more assured. Your pauses feel purposeful instead of blank. Your voice gains weight because you're not just talking, you're guiding. Listeners sense that and respond with attention, which further boosts your confidence. It becomes a positive feedback loop. What you'll notice, after practicing this technique, you'll find yourself speaking more slowly and deliberately, not because you're forcing it, but because your mind is clear. You'll see people nodding along sooner. They'll remember your points later. And you'll leave conversations feeling satisfied instead of replaying what you should have said. Presence, Chapter 1, makes people open the door. Structure, Chapter 2, invites them inside and shows them the path. With these 2 foundations, you're already far ahead of most speakers. In the next chapter, we'll build on this by exploring how to use your voice, tone, pacing, and pauses to make your message not just clear but irresistible. Chapter 3, using your voice as an instrument. You can have perfect presence and a beautifully structured message, yet still lose your audience if your voice works against you. A weak, monotonous, or rushed delivery can make even brilliant ideas fade. Conversely, a well-used voice can make a simple point feel powerful. Your voice is not just a carrier of words. It's an instrument that transmits confidence, emotion, and authority. Learning to play it consciously is one of the fastest ways to sound persuasive. Most of us never think about our voices. We open our mouths and hope for the best. But just like posture or word choice, vocal qualities can be trained. Actors, broadcasters, and leaders do it constantly. You don't have to become theatrical or put on a fake voice. You just need to uncover and strengthen your natural one. Breathing is the engine. In Chapter 1, you learn to breathe to calm your body. Now take it further. Good vocal delivery comes from diaphragmatic breathing, breathing low into your belly rather than shallowly into your chest. When air flows steadily from the diaphragm, your voice sounds fuller, steadier, and more resonant. Practice by placing a hand on your stomach. Inhale and feel it rise. Exhale slowly while speaking a sentence. Notice how much longer and smoother your voice feels compared to chest breathing. Find your natural pitch. Many people speak either too high, which sounds strained, or too low, which sounds forced. Your natural pitch is the range where your voice vibrates easily. To find it, hum gently until you feel a comfortable buzz in your chest. Speak a few words from that hum. That's usually your ideal pitch. Using it consistently reduces vocal fatigue and projects authenticity. Vary your tone to match meaning. Monotone is the enemy of persuasion. It signals boredom or uncertainty. Yet, overacting with wild ups and downs sounds insincere. The sweet spot is purposeful variation. Raise your pitch slightly to signal excitement or a question. Lower it to signal seriousness or conclusion. Think of your voice like a highlighter pen. Changes in tone underline what matters. Pace and pauses. Most nervous speakers rush, cramming words together like cars in a traffic jam. Listeners can't keep up, and the speaker sounds anxious. Slow down. Aim for a pace at which you could comfortably take a sip of water between phrases. Silence is not your enemy, it's your ally. A brief pause before or after an important point creates suspense and emphasis. It also gives your audience time to absorb what you've said and gives you time to breathe. Try reading this sentence aloud both ways. Rushed. This plan is going to bring big changes and we need your help. Calm. This plan is going to bring big changes and we need your help. Same words, completely different impact. Volume and projection. Volume isn't about shouting. It's about projecting your voice so it carries. Imagine speaking to the person farthest away in the room. Keep your throat relaxed and let the sound ride on your breath. If you feel strain in your throat, you're pushing instead of projecting. Projection from the diaphragm feels surprisingly effortless. Practice by standing at one end of a room and reading a paragraph aloud as if speaking to someone at the other end. Warm up before important speaking. Athletes warm up their muscles. Speakers should warm up their voices. A few simple exercises before a meeting or presentation can make your voice more flexible and reliable. Lip trills. Gently blow air through your lips, making them vibrate like a motorboat. This relaxes tension. Sirens. Glide your voice smoothly from low to high and back down like a siren. This stretches your vocal range. Tongue twisters. Slowly articulate tricky phrases to wake up your articulation muscles. 2 minutes of these can prevent cracks, squeaks, and strain. Match energy to context. Your voice should reflect the emotional state you want to create. If you're trying to inspire, sound energized, slightly faster, brighter tone, more lift at the end of sentences. If you're trying to reassure, sound steady, slower, lower tone, softer edges. People mirror your vocal energy just as they mirror your body language. Common mistakes to avoid. Dropping volume at the end of sentences. This makes your words trail off and signals insecurity. Finish strongly. Speaking in a permanent presentation voice. Some people adopt a stiff, unnatural tone as soon as they present. Audiences sense the mask. Ignoring microphones. If you're using a mic, speak as if you're talking to a friend at a dinner table. Don't lean in too close or back away. Record yourself and listen. The fastest way to improve your voice is to hear it from the outside. Most people cringe the first time because it sounds different from inside your head. That's normal. Record a short talk on your phone. Listen for pace, tone, and clarity. Adjust one thing at a time. With practice, you'll start liking what you hear. A simple voice training routine. Before your next important conversation, try this. Take 2 slow belly breaths. Hum for 15 seconds at your comfortable pitch. Glide your voice up and down once like a siren. Read your opening sentence aloud slowly, emphasizing keywords. First, breathe. Begin speaking. This takes less than a minute but primes your voice to sound confident and persuasive. Why this technique boosts persuasion? Listeners don't just process your words, they feel your state through your voice. A shaky tone transmits doubt. A clear, resonant tone transmits confidence. Varied pacing and emphasis guide their emotions. Pauses give them time to agree internally before you continue. All of this works below conscious awareness, making your message far more effective. What you'll notice, after a few weeks of practice, you'll feel your voice settling into a richer, calmer sound. People will stop asking you to repeat yourself. They'll lean in when you pause, sensing importance. You'll also notice that controlling your voice calms your mind. The two feed each other. Eventually, using your voice as an instrument becomes second nature, like driving a car without thinking about each movement. Presence, Chapter 1, drew the audience to you. Structure, Chapter 2, gave them a path. Voice, Chapter 3, fills that path with color and emotion. With these 3 building blocks, you're no longer just speaking, you're performing leadership in real time. In the next chapter, we'll build on this by exploring how to read and respond to your audience's reactions so you can adjust on the fly and keep them engaged. Chapter 4, reading the room and adapting in real time. You've built presence, shaped your message, and tuned your voice. The next skill separates good speakers from truly persuasive ones: the ability to read your audience and adjust on the fly. Persuasion isn't a one-way broadcast, it's a living conversation, even if you're the only one speaking. When you can sense your listener's state and respond in real time, you stay relevant, credible, and engaging. Most people, once they start speaking, go into transmission mode. They deliver their prepared words like a package at a doorstep, then leave. The problem is that audiences are not static. Their attention rises and falls. Their expressions shift. Their body language gives clues about agreement, doubt, boredom, or curiosity. If you ignore these signals, you risk losing them. If you notice and respond, you pull them back in and deepen your influence. Develop the habit of scanning. Reading the room starts with looking up. Too many speakers bury their gaze in notes or slides. Train yourself to scan slowly as you speak. You don't need to make constant eye contact with everyone. That would feel forced, but you do want to sample different parts of the room. Notice clusters of faces. Are people leaning forward or back? Are they nodding or frowning? Are they checking phones? These small signs tell you whether your message is landing. In small groups or one-on-one, the same principle applies. Watch the other person's eyes, posture, and hands. Listen for changes in breathing or tone when you hit certain points. These are live feedback cues. Look for energy shifts. Audiences communicate energy collectively. You can feel when the room is with you. There's a quiet alertness, eyes are on you, subtle nods happen. You can also feel when they drift, glances away, bodies shift, coughs increase. These shifts are normal. Attention naturally ebbs and flows. Your job is to notice and respond rather than plow ahead blindly. Adjusting on the fly. Once you notice a change, make a conscious choice. If energy drops, you can pause. A moment of silence can reset attention better than speeding up. Ask a question. Even a rhetorical one pulls listeners back into mental participation. Use an example or story. Switching from explanation to illustration re-engages the imagination. Change your pace or tone. Slightly faster or slower, louder or softer, signal something new. If you sense confusion, you can briefly recap your point before moving on. If you sense resistance, acknowledge it rather than ignoring it. Some of you might be thinking this sounds risky. Doing so makes you seem attuned and credible. Mirroring and matching. People feel comfortable with those who subtly mirror them. This doesn't mean copying gestures like a mime. It means aligning your energy level and style with theirs before guiding them somewhere else. If an audience is quiet and serious, opening with loud jokes feels jarring. Start by matching their seriousness, then gradually lift the mood. If a small group is lively and informal, a stiff formal tone will alienate them. Match then lead. Use questions strategically. Even in a speech, you can involve your audience with questions. How many of you have experienced this? Imagine for a moment, what would you do in this situation? Questions spark mental responses and eye contact. They turn a passive crowd into active listeners. In smaller settings, actual dialogue is even better. Ask, listen, and incorporate their input into your message. Read emotional, not just logical, signals. Listeners rarely verbalize their feelings. They show them. Crossed arms and narrowed eyes often mean skepticism. Tilting the head and furrowing the brow can mean curiosity. Smiles and small nods signal agreement. Don't overinterpret one gesture, but watch patterns. When you see a cluster of signals, adjust accordingly, add more evidence, tell a reassuring story, slow down, or invite input. Common mistakes to avoid. Overreacting. Not every yawn means you're boring. People have long days. Look for overall trends, not single cues. Ignoring dissent. Pretending you don't see skepticism makes you seem disconnected. Naming it calmly earns trust. Losing your thread. Adjusting doesn't mean abandoning your structure. Keep your destination clear while flexing your route. Practice in everyday interactions. You don't need a stage to learn this. Practice at dinner conversations. As you tell a story, watch the other person's eyes. If they light up, expand. If they drift, tighten. Notice how their body language shifts as you speak. Over time, you'll develop intuitive radar for audience states. A simple read and adapt routine. Before you start speaking, remind yourself, this is a conversation, not a monologue. While speaking, every 20 to 30 seconds, glance at a different part of the room or at your listener. Notice one sign of engagement, nodding, eye contact, or disengagement, fidgeting, looking away. If disengaged, use a pause, question, or example to reset. If engaged, keep your pace but deepen your point. Afterward, reflect. When did energy rise or fall? What did you do that helped? This self-review accelerates your growth. Why this technique boosts persuasion? People want to feel seen and heard, even in a crowd. When a speaker adapts to them, they feel respected and involved. That emotional connection lowers resistance. Your message becomes a shared journey rather than a lecture. Psychologically, responsiveness signals competence and empathy, two qualities that strongly predict influence. What you'll notice. At first, scanning and adjusting will feel like juggling. You may worry you'll lose your place. But as you practice, it becomes natural. You'll sense the room almost unconsciously and make micro-adjustments without breaking flow. Listeners will say things like, "It felt like you were speaking directly to me," or "You really read the mood." That's the power of this skill. With presence, Chapter 1. Structure, Chapter 2. Voice, Chapter 3. And real-time adaptation, Chapter 4. You now have a live feedback loop with your audience. You're not just delivering, you're dancing with them. In the next chapter, we'll add another dimension: how to use storytelling to embed your ideas deeply in people's minds and emotions. Chapter 5. Mastering Body Language. Many people believe that confidence in speaking is about eliminating all nervousness, but in reality it is about managing it and appearing composed even when your heart is racing. This chapter is about mastering the art of body language so that your presence alone supports the words you say. Your body speaks before your mouth does, and audiences notice it unconsciously. A confident stance can make even a shaky voice sound more trustworthy, while poor posture can undermine the strongest argument. Begin by paying attention to how you stand or sit before you speak. A relaxed yet upright posture signals confidence without arrogance. Your feet should be firmly grounded, not shifting constantly. When you stand tall with shoulders back, your lungs open up and your voice naturally projects more strongly. This simple physical adjustment has a surprising effect on how others see you and how you feel about yourself. Eye contact is another crucial element. Rather than staring at one spot or glancing nervously around, allow your eyes to rest for a moment on one person, then move to another. This creates a connection with your listeners and makes each individual feel included. It also helps to slow you down and anchor you in the present moment. Avoid darting eyes, which make you appear unsure or evasive. Gestures should be natural extensions of your message, not random movements. When you explain a concept, use your hands to illustrate it, but keep your motions purposeful and not excessive. Overly animated gestures can look theatrical or anxious, while completely stiff arms make you seem tense. Practice speaking with your hands lightly engaged and watch yourself in a mirror or on video to notice how you come across. Facial expressions also matter. A neutral or friendly expression makes you approachable and trustworthy, while a constant frown or tight lips send the opposite signal. Smiling briefly at appropriate moments softens your delivery and helps listeners relax. The goal is to appear at ease and open, even if you are thinking hard about what to say next. Breathing ties all of these elements together. Short, shallow breaths tighten your body and voice, while slow, deep breaths calm your nerves and improve your tone. Before speaking, inhale deeply and exhale slowly to steady yourself. During a presentation, pause naturally to breathe rather than rushing through your words. These pauses give your audience time to absorb your message and make you look deliberate and self-assured. It can be helpful to rehearse body language separately from your speech. Stand in front of a mirror or record yourself, focusing only on posture, gestures, and expressions. Notice any habits that weaken your presence: slouching, swaying, crossing arms, and practice replacing them with stronger ones. Over time, these physical cues become automatic and you no longer have to think about them consciously. This skill also applies in everyday conversations, not just formal speeches. When you speak to a colleague, a friend, or a stranger, your body language sets the tone. By consistently practicing confident posture, steady eye contact, and calm breathing, you train yourself to project credibility wherever you go. Mastering body language does not mean becoming an actor who puts on a mask. It is about aligning your outward signals with your inner intent so that people can clearly see your sincerity. When your body supports your words, your message carries more weight and your audience feels you believe in what you are saying. The quiet power of confident nonverbal communication will amplify every technique you learn in the chapters to come. Chapter 6: The Power of Voice Control. Your voice is the instrument that carries your ideas into the minds of your listeners. Even if your words are perfectly chosen, a weak or monotonous voice can make them fall flat. Conversely, a clear, warm, and dynamic voice can make even simple ideas sound compelling. Learning to control your voice is not about faking a tone, but about unlocking its natural range and strength. Begin by becoming aware of your breathing. A voice supported by the diaphragm, not just the throat, sounds richer and steadier. Stand or sit upright, place a hand on your stomach, and inhale deeply so that your abdomen expands. As you exhale, speak a few sentences and notice the difference. This kind of breathing keeps your tone steady even under pressure and reduces the likelihood of your voice shaking. Volume is another critical factor. Speaking too softly forces people to strain to hear you, while shouting can feel aggressive. Aim for a conversational loudness that can comfortably reach the back of a room without effort. Practice projecting your voice in larger spaces, focusing on resonance rather than sheer force. This projection also signals confidence to your audience. Pitch and tone create emotional color in your speech. A monotonous delivery bores listeners, but wild fluctuations sound unnatural. The secret is variation with intention. Lower your tone slightly to emphasize seriousness, raise it subtly to express excitement or highlight a key point. This keeps listeners engaged and makes your message memorable. Pausing is one of the most underused tools in voice control. Instead of rushing through sentences, pause for a breath after an important idea. These moments of silence allow your audience to process your words and give you a chance to steady your pace. A well-timed pause can also create anticipation and draw people in. Articulation, the clarity of your consonants and vowels, is the final polish. When nerves hit, people tend to mumble or speak too quickly. Slow down slightly and open your mouth fully as you speak. Practice tongue twisters, read aloud from books, or record yourself to identify unclear sounds. Clear articulation makes you easier to understand and subtly signals competence. Like any skill, voice control improves with deliberate practice. Read passages aloud each day with focus on breath, volume, pitch, and clarity. Record and listen back to notice progress. Over time, your voice will develop a natural authority and warmth that invites trust and respect. When your voice is steady, strong, and expressive, it does more than deliver information. It conveys confidence, sincerity, and energy. People are drawn to speakers who sound as though they believe in what they are saying. By mastering your voice, you give your message its fullest power. Chapter 7: Crafting Messages That Stick. Confident speaking is not just about how you deliver your message. It is also about what you choose to say. Even the most charismatic delivery cannot save a confusing or forgettable message. The ability to craft ideas so they are simple, vivid, and memorable is a core skill for anyone who wants to persuade. The first step is clarity. Before you speak, strip your idea down to its essence. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I want my listener to remember? If you cannot state your point in a single sentence, your audience will not be able to either. Simplicity is not a sign of weakness. It is the mark of a powerful communicator. Once you have clarity, add vividness. People do not remember abstract concepts. They remember images, stories, and examples. Use metaphors or analogies to bring your ideas to life. Instead of saying, "This plan is risky," you could say, "This plan is like walking across a rope bridge." A picture instantly appears in the listener's mind and makes your point stick. Structure matters as well. Organize your ideas in a way that feels natural to your audience. Begin with something familiar, present the new idea, then show its benefit. This gives your listener a path to follow and prevents them from feeling lost. Good structure makes you sound confident because it makes your message easy to grasp. Repetition can be your ally. Many of the world's most memorable speeches repeat a key phrase or idea, not out of laziness but to drive it into memory. Choose a short, punchy line that encapsulates your point and weave it naturally into your talk. The more your audience hears it, the more likely they are to remember it and even repeat it to others. Emotional resonance amplifies everything. Facts alone rarely change minds, but facts wrapped in emotion often do. Connect your message to your audience's hopes, fears, or values. When people feel something about what you are saying, they are far more likely to believe it and act on it. This does not mean manipulation. It means respecting that humans are emotional creatures. Finally, test your message. Say it aloud to a friend or record it. If it feels flat or complicated, refine it again. Great communicators are ruthless editors. They cut unnecessary words, sharpen their examples, and rehearse until their message sounds effortless. When you craft a message that is clear, vivid, well-structured, and emotionally resonant, your delivery automatically feels more confident. People will sense that you know exactly what you are talking about and that you have thought deeply about it. This combination of preparation and purpose makes your words not only heard but remembered long after you finish speaking. Chapter 8. The Art of Listening to Persuade. Many people think persuasion is all about talking, but the strongest persuaders are often the best listeners. When you genuinely listen, you gather the information you need to shape your message so it lands. You also show respect, which makes people more open to what you have to say. Listening is not passive. It is an active skill that can transform your ability to speak confidently and convince others. True listening begins with full attention. In conversations, resist the urge to rehearse your response while the other person is still speaking. Instead, focus on their words, tone, and body language. This focus helps you catch not only what they say but also what they mean. People can feel when you are fully present, and that alone builds trust. Reflecting back what you have heard is another powerful tool. Phrases like, "So what you're saying is," or "If I understand correctly," signal that you care about accuracy. This simple habit lowers defensiveness because the other person feels understood. It also gives you a moment to organize your own thoughts before you respond. Ask questions that invite depth rather than yes/no answers. Open-ended questions such as, "How do you see this working?" or "What matters most to you here?" draw out motivations and values. Once you know what someone cares about, you can frame your ideas in ways that align with their priorities. Persuasion becomes a collaboration rather than a battle. Listening also gives you control over pace. When you pause to listen instead of filling every silence, you slow the interaction and project calm confidence. People often equate fast talking with nervousness. Measured listening and responding shows poise. Another advantage of listening is that it gives you time to adjust your delivery. If you sense confusion, frustration, or enthusiasm, you can shift your tone, examples, or level of detail accordingly. This responsiveness makes your communication feel tailored rather than scripted, which increases credibility. Practicing active listening in everyday life strengthens the habit. In meetings, focus on one speaker at a time. In casual conversations, put away your phone and make eye contact. When you train yourself to listen deeply everywhere, it becomes second nature when the stakes are high. Persuasion is not about overpowering someone with your arguments. It is about creating a shared understanding so your ideas can be accepted willingly. By mastering the art of listening, you gain insights, build rapport, and make your eventual words far more persuasive. In the eyes of your audience, you become not just a speaker but a communicator worth trusting. Chapter 9. Handling Questions and Objections with Confidence. No matter how clearly you speak, someone will question your point or raise an objection. This is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of engagement. People who challenge you are often the ones listening most closely. Learning to handle questions and objections calmly is one of the surest ways to project true confidence and strengthen your persuasiveness. The first principle is to welcome questions rather than fear them. When someone raises a hand or interrupts with a concern, take a breath and smile. This moment is not an attack but an opportunity to clarify your message. Your composure sends the signal that you are secure in your position and open to dialogue. Listen fully before responding. Many speakers jump in defensively before they have heard the whole question. This can make you seem nervous or dismissive. Let the person finish, nod to show you are paying attention, and if needed, repeat their question back to ensure you understood it correctly. This simple habit buys you time and lowers tension. When you respond, keep your tone calm and respectful. Even if the question sounds aggressive, answer it as if it were asked with curiosity. Audiences notice not just your words but your demeanor. A measured, thoughtful reply wins more respect than a perfect but hurried argument. If you do not know an answer, admit it honestly. Promise to follow up later if appropriate. Pretending to know everything erodes trust quickly, whereas a candid, "I'm not sure about that, but I'll find out," shows integrity. People are far more persuaded by someone they believe is honest. Use bridging techniques to steer the conversation back to your main point. For example, you can say, That's a great question. What's important to remember is, and then restate your key message. This keeps you in control without ignoring the question. Skilled speakers learn to acknowledge concerns while reinforcing their core ideas. Sometimes objections reveal deeper values or fears. Instead of debating facts alone, address the underlying concern. Show how your idea aligns with what matters to the other person or to the group. This approach turns confrontation into collaboration and increases the chance of winning agreement. Practice helps. Before an important talk or meeting, brainstorm possible questions and objections you might face. Prepare clear, concise responses for each. By rehearsing difficult scenarios, you reduce the chance of being caught off guard and train yourself to stay calm under pressure. Handling questions and objections with confidence does more than protect your credibility, it enhances it. People judge not only the content of your answers but the grace with which you deliver them. When you stay composed, listen carefully, and respond thoughtfully, you transform challenges into moments that strengthen your authority and your message. Chapter 10: Telling Stories That Persuade. Facts and arguments are important, but stories are what people remember. A well-told story can make complex ideas simple, connect emotionally, and inspire action in ways raw data cannot. The ability to weave compelling stories into your speech is a powerful technique for anyone who wants to speak confidently and influence others. A good story begins with relevance. Choose experiences or examples that your audience can relate to or learn from. The more they see themselves in the situation, the more engaged they become. Even a brief anecdote can transform a dry point into something vivid and memorable. Structure your story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Introduce the characters and the situation quickly, present the challenge or conflict, and conclude with resolution or lesson learned. This narrative arc keeps listeners hooked and provides a natural way to highlight your message. People naturally follow the trajectory of a story, which makes your point easier to absorb. Emotion is the secret ingredient. Stories resonate when they evoke feelings, curiosity, surprise, empathy, or hope. Facts alone rarely move people, but a story that touches the heart can create lasting impact. Share the struggles, successes, or lessons of real people, and your audience will respond on a human level. Keep stories concise and focused. Long, wandering tales lose attention and dilute impact. Every detail should serve the main point. When rehearsing, trim unnecessary exposition and highlight the most striking moments. Your goal is not entertainment alone but persuasion, so every word counts. Use your voice, body language, and pauses to enhance the story. A change in tone can signal tension or excitement. A deliberate pause before a crucial line builds anticipation. Gestures can illustrate action and make events more vivid. Storytelling is a full-body experience. Your delivery is as important as the content. Stories also give you credibility. Sharing a personal example or a relatable scenario demonstrates authenticity. Audiences sense honesty and vulnerability, which strengthens trust. People are more likely to accept your ideas when they feel a connection to you through narrative. Practice storytelling in everyday conversations. Share brief stories with friends or colleagues and observe their reactions. Notice which details capture attention and which cause drift. Over time, you will learn to gauge what resonates and adapt stories for different audiences. Incorporating stories into your presentations or discussions transforms information into experience. Your message becomes tangible and memorable. When combined with the presence, voice, structure, and audience awareness you've already developed, storytelling amplifies your ability to persuade effortlessly. A well-told story can leave a lasting impression far beyond the moment you speak. Conclusion: becoming a confident and persuasive speaker. By now, you have explored the full range of techniques that transform ordinary speaking into confident, persuasive communication. You have learned to cultivate presence, structure your messages, use your voice effectively, read and adapt to your audience, control body language, and tell stories that stick. Each of these skills builds on the others, creating a foundation that allows you not only to speak but to influence, inspire, and connect. Confidence is not about never feeling nervous. It is about understanding that nervous energy can be channeled into focus, clarity, and authenticity. Every speaker faces doubts and challenges, but those who succeed do so by preparing deliberately, practicing consistently, and remaining mindful of both themselves and their listeners. Persuasion is not a trick or manipulation. It is the art of aligning your words, voice, and presence with understanding, empathy, and purpose. The real power comes from combining all the techniques into a holistic approach. Presence draws attention. Structure guides understanding. Voice conveys emotion. Body language reinforces credibility. Listening builds trust. Storytelling embeds your ideas. Handling objections with grace strengthens authority. Together, these skills make you not just someone who talks, but someone whose words carry weight and meaning. Remember that mastery takes time. Apply these principles in daily conversations, small meetings, or casual storytelling. Reflect on each interaction. Notice what works, what feels natural, and what can improve. Over time, these practices become instinctive, and confidence becomes a natural part of your communication rather than a skill you must force. The journey to becoming a persuasive speaker is also a journey of self-discovery. You learn to understand your thoughts, clarify your intentions, and connect with others on a deeper level. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice, to influence ethically, and to grow. As you continue, you will notice that speaking with confidence transforms not only how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. In the end, speaking persuasively is less about perfection and more about presence, purpose, and empathy. It is about showing up fully, listening genuinely, and expressing your ideas clearly. With the techniques in this book as your guide, you are equipped to face any audience with calm assurance, engage people meaningfully, and leave a lasting impact. The power to persuade is in your hands. Now it's time to step forward and speak.